Okay, so wanted to bring my nephew into the picture. Not that he was the source of any direction I took. It just gave me maybe the opportunity. Yeah, I think in the 1990s, about, he was first married, and he'd been working at a tasting room at a local winery in Virginia, and he had purchased a small home that he had a mortgage on, but he had an opportunity for a 30-acre vineyard and house with barn in the local area, and he just couldn't get enough financing, so he had to lean on me, and actually it was only $20,000 that I lent him, but it was able to put him over the top, and it really had a life-changing impact because it turned out to be a very good financial investment, and certainly set the direction of his life. But having said that, then bringing it up to 2006, I'm really not too aware of his position, but he's very strong financially, but he always seems to be over borrowed. It seems to be the trait that his father, his English father, showed too. But anyway, at Christmas he asked me if he could borrow $100,000 from me, and he offered 12%. And his reason was that, well, he wanted to buy back shares, I guess, of this business he had, and it was a great thing. Anyway, he just needed the money, and I guess he couldn't easily find financing anywhere else, and it was worth him for that percentage. But honestly, on the first, going back to the first loan, two things that I did want to mention that bothered me, and the most important one was that I made him promise that he wouldn't take on any additional debt before he paid me off. So, and he ignored that completely. He and his wife. In fact, they ended up filing bankruptcy. But they were good. I mean, he is an ethical person. Both of them are. And so he didn't waive the debt, although I had to prod him a little bit to pay it back. Eventually he did. So on the first opportunity, I felt, well, that really put him over the heap. On this other one, it was just about money. You know, it was becoming less about the business and more about, making money. So I told him, well, I would loan him the money if he asked me. Okay, but I would rather not. Okay, but if you really want to ask me, I will. Okay, but I want to pay it off in a year. And if it's not paid off in a year, we're going to double the interest, or add 12% to the interest every year, and and to the owed interest too until it's paid off. Okay, so I want to pay. I don't want to be, because I know what happened before. Okay, you never want to pay it off. So he agreed to that. And the year went by, and actually I'm not too sure the strength of his financial position when it came time for, I used to go down every year for Christmas. So I wasn't too sure of his financial position, but I know his marriage had fallen apart. And it was this marriage through which he had earned most of his money. So under Virginia law, he's going to be taking a big hit. And because he liked to be, it might seem like he had a lot of money, but he always seems to have more debt. So I wasn't sure, but I was getting indications, whether it be that correct or not, that I might have a problem here, and I didn't want. This is where I didn't want to be, and this is where we are, and I'm getting kind of pissed off. But here's where make lemonade. So, this is concurrent with me having become a Buddhist and tried to live the life of compassion. But, and I'm really getting involved in Netflix, okay? Yeah, so I'm really getting, connected to the world. So let me just read off, I mean, it gets a little hard to be compassionate. So, a crude awakening, the oil crash, the oil factor, the end of suburbia, Nova, world in the balance, National Geographic, human footprint, National Geographic, 6 degrees that could change the world, Growth Busters, hooked on growth, the future of food, why we fight, Frontline, Bush's war, no end in sight, Iraq's descendant into chaos, the most dangerous man in America, Daniel Ellsberg and the Pentagon Papers, planet in peril, planet Earth, in the Valley of Laya, lessons of darkness, the ghost of Abu Ghraib, the fog of war, Frontline, 10 trillion and counting, Frontline, the Tank Man, American Experience, Earth Day, American Experience, ISHI, the last Liahi, American Experience, the murder of Emmett Till, American Experience, America and the Holocaust. Yeah, watch that. America and the Holocaust, yeah. American Experience, America's biological weapons. Yeah, watch that. American Experience, Shall We Remain? 5 episodes. Yeah, watch that. Waco, the terms of engagement. Yeah. Frontline, Poison Waters, Inside Job, the corporations. Enron, the smartest guys in town, Hacking Democracy, Sicko, Grass, Hemp, the Jack Harris story, Hemp, the Hemp Revolution, Union, the business behind getting high, Tibet, the cry of the snow lion, The Cove, the end of the line, Monumental, David Brower's fight, Mountain Patrol, Calixi. Okay, now, I have some thoughts, if you're an existentialist and you just look situationally, one person helping one family in one time at one place and them being successful is a beautiful thing. Or childbirth, for that fact. It's a beautiful thing. Multiply that about 7 billion times. Okay? Yeah, I don't, those are all only the politically orientated flicks, but I might point you to the Lost Boys of Sudan. Tragic story. Only one in many in Africa, and many more to come. A few kids are able to get out, okay, and come to America. And my God, one of few. But, they need apartment, they need a car, they need job. Okay. What, are we fucking bacteria in a petri dish? I mean, as long as they got stuff in the supermarket. I mean, I think about, how friendly it is in the neighborhood. And, Route 80 traffic just keeps on whizzing on by. Maybe we should have mentioned that, Route 80. But, let's say, stores go empty, gasoline runs dry, big disaster somewhere, traffic backs up. I mean, you're going to find out where all those NRA guys are very quickly, I mean, where's all the feely touchy stuff, So how is that different than bacteria in a petri dish when the agar runs out? Duh. And nobody, you can't sell that. I don't hear Mitt Romney talking about that. So I might point you too. This was a great thing by the teaching company. I think it's only on audio, but it's The Conquest of Americas. I mean, we were worse assholes in the back. Yeah, I mean, in the past. I mean, the biggest asshole comes to the top of the heap, right? We just have more technology to do it in a more sophisticated way. Yeah, and I get this image of this fat American kid, like 60% of them, playing some video game. I never wanted to go out, dress up for PE, do anything serious. I think about the story in one of the many illegal logging camps in Indonesia, where a orang rescue group went out to a mom and pop store in the middle of nowhere there. And the store owner was jabbering away, and translated below was, "No, you can't take my orang. We can't make any money without my orang." So they go in the back room, and there's this orangutan, female orangutan, that's been shaved and greased up and tied down by all fours. And the local logmen, because there are no willing prostitutes in the camp, will pay the store owner or whatever to fuck this orang. Now, I have a problem, following the concept of compassion. Because another big concept that I didn't mention with Buddhism is karma. And because people do know and have made their own interpretation and definition of what karma is, let's not use the word karma. Let's just use the term cause and effect, in a physical kind of reality world. My karma of compassion has consequences. This I might mention is one of my biggest conundrums, is if all time exists, how is it that my going down the line seems to have an impact in the future? And I say seems because there's a whole teaching comedy series on whether free will, or whether it's a deterministic world, or whether there is true free will. And honestly, this is the question that becomes more confusing the closer you look at it. And I might mention too, in terms of, let's go back to quantum physics for a moment. The idea of cause and effect, and every effect must have a cause, and every cause has an effect. And so you get on the concept of prior causes, so it must all go back to an original cause, which would be the Big Bang. And an interesting sidelight too. Here I might lose my train of thought, but interesting sidelight is the first thing that I understood in terms of a black hole and trying to understand it functionally, and the concept of singularity. Was Stephen Hawking's talking about a singularity is where whatever takes place before the singularity don't enter into it. It don't make no difference what happens before, because the after, you can't pass any information through. But apparently he's had to yield on this, and I might point you in the way of Susskind, the Black Hole Wars. That really, I'm sort of answering my question here. That it's really, if you follow the line, and you don't have awareness of what's down the line, it's like information theory. It's like, what did he know, and when did he know it, and so that's sort of the deal. I hope I can get back to my train of thought. Now, where the hell was I? I'm totally lost. Okay, what point was I making? Let's see if I can. I got off on the orang. Must have been something to do with the orang. I'm going to have to drop that topic, unfortunately, and go on to reveal one of my. No, this isn't my joke. No. I might mention, in A Crude Awakening, Hubbard, 56 or so. I mean, he identified, that there's going to be a peak in oil. Who the hell listened to that? And I might mention, I checked out The Population Bomb in paperback. It was at the I'm going to say that. It was at the library, and it was, it was acid, it was pulp paper. It was just falling apart, and it was about on the 60s and how the population explosion is going to happen. And, we're going right down that path. I doubt if the book had ever been checked out. So, the term I like to use is we float down the river of denial. Monocultures replace diversity. Evolution creates, evolution destroys. There have been dominant species in the past, and there's a good analogy that is on a PBS program about time. It takes a race car. This much time was just blue-green algae. Then the Cambrian explosion, man, and then since we got oil. We're good. Duh. I mean, don't look at it in your lifetime. I mean, if I looked at it in my lifetime, I thought the 60s was the way it was. I paid 17 cents for gas one time during the gas war. It was normally 23 cents. So there's a conflict here between my compassion for humans, or any sentient being. And that's I think the problem with humans. They have very well compassion, but it's only extends to their species. And the global consequences, or karma, that's going to bring about. That is, compassion gives you more humans. I mean, it's that simple. We have to look at a global level, and we're not. So I'm taking the path that I want to. So how did I get here? I was talking about my nephew. Okay. So anyway, okay, I'm trying to justify my getting back. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any big things. Okay, okay, there's a lot of stuff here. This is, that's for another time. Let me get back on track here. Anyway, I'm becoming quite upset here that, I need to be compassionate. But it needs to be at a global level, and it needs to work towards a sustainable level. So I decided at the time that I would turn this lemon, where if I forced my nephew to repay me, it might be difficult for him, and if not, he would have to pay 24% then after that. So what I did is I told him, well, Christopher, oh, cut that out. Tell him that, well, you just keep it, and you take a third of it, and you give it to each niece, each of 2 nieces. So they each get a third of it. And I'm giving them that money so that, because I'm going to change my will. Didn't give my sister anything. Well, for one reason, she, in her will, of course, it all went to her kids. So I was giving to her because she's the closest family member that I had. So I didn't feel I was cutting her out of anything. Plus, she didn't need anything anyway. She would have just given it to her kids. So, duh. So, anyway, it was at that time I changed my will. This would be 2008. This would be just after when we had this second Christmas, and I gave this money away. That's when I changed my will, and I really wasn't much involved in the environmental movement, other than to see what I had seen in terms of development in Southern California, plus the return in 2001, and see how it had developed, as far as it could go. That there were just hills and hills of developed areas, and a lot more, and there's no end to it. So I picked 11 organizations, most of which I knew or familiar with, and I would say most of it conservative organizations. And I made my niece, my executor from my sister. I have great faith in my niece. So I changed it so that when I died, I would give all the except for a small amount. And basically at the time, I think it was worth about $1.5 million at least. Not $2 million would be too high in terms of the value of everything that I owned. And just give it equally to these 11 organizations, and she would be the executor, and it would be under the local attorney who developed the will, and that was that. I wasn't going to change my life. This was keep having to think about this would be 2008. Yes, 2008. Yeah. So, but and that year I said, well, if I can join any of these organizations, and I don't need to list them. You can read about, in fact, let me mention here, you can read my bio at my website. It's more about my career. And you can read my announcement of the ISHI Trust, which was in 2010. So going back to 2008 then, I decided, well, for these organizations, I'll join them if there's membership. If they have a lifelong membership, I'll do that. And I'll just become a regular member. And maybe I just round my membership up to the next $100 or something like that, very modest. But this would be between 2008 and 2009. I'm thinking I need to take a realistic look here at what I can do. in addition to that. So I started, like I remember one time the Sierra Club called. Sierra Club, by the way, had a lifetime membership of $1,500. So that was one of the biggest, you know. And I'm not one to make contributions in my past. Believe me, I can be a tightwad where I want to be tight. And I was never too good at giving away money. So that was a big deal. And what they did is they called me. And although they were pushy, and you don't like being solicited on the phone, but it was the Sierra Club. And it was the membership in the John Muir Club. And it was just an additional like $300. So I said, okay with that. So that was like a big deal. This would have been 2008. Well, I mean, I have maybe more memories here than I care to go into, but I would say they would be moments of, I would say, enlightenment to me uh, in terms of putting together stimulating thoughts and artistic things together. I might mention one thing I'm quite proud of is I did, and I have very old technology in my music. This is why it's hard to be proud of it, because it'd be so easy to do today with all the toys one has. But I would go to the library every week, and I would check out like 6 CDs, and you could, or 7. You could check out 7 of anything. So 7 DVDs, 7 CDs, 7 books on tapes. I mean, 7 whatever. So I was really full time, and it became very easy for me to copy music. And they had like 1,000, well, maybe a couple thousand CD music library, and very interesting categories. So I would really go through each one. Became difficult too to remember what so I tried to do it linearly, and I would listen, but it became more of a factory because I could listen to a tune for like a minute and tell you whether I would want to record that or not. And so I'd actually go through them like that. And I went through that through the folk thing and through the world kind of music thing. Also, I recorded a lot of speaking, technical stuff, both audio and visual. I think I mentioned that before. So anyway, I'm losing my train of thought again. Where am I? Okay, yes. Yes, okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking, especially that America and the Holocaust, and America and biological weapons. I mean, and especially ISHI, the last Yahi. Infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. I mean, you reach a point with a person where you say, they're unredeemable. You just give up trying. I mean, they are what they are. And you just have to deal with that. So, I just said, well, the world hasn't changed. But my perception of it, like, looking at New York City from, across the Hudson in the evening, it's quite beautiful. But, the closer you get, the uglier it becomes. And there's no end to it. And we're not even close to where we need to be. I mean, 350 parts per million, or, you know, like 50 parts per million back there. All that shit is floating out there in the middle of the Pacific. You know, all that shit from the Japanese tsunami is showing up on the coast. I mean, we notice pollution up in Seattle, and they trace it to the atmosphere coming across from China. I mean, duh. I mean, that's what I add to all my emails that I, continue to send out. I mean, it becomes meaningless. I just add duh. Because if they have a scanner to see if there's anything unique. That's what I'll say. So, I became quite negative. Yes, I did. Naughty, naughty, naughty. You became negative. You cannot ever give up. No, 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 no. You never give up. What a Rocky Balboa tells you. You never give up. Yeah, bullshit.